I'm going to show you the right way, the wrong way, and the very wrong way to frame openings inside of shipping containers. And we'll even show you a weldable DIY system that uses only angle iron and flat bar. It's been about a year since I released a video and I showed you exactly how not to frame out these openings, and we've got almost the identical job. So now I have the perfect opportunity. I talked the customer into doing it my way. So I'm excited to show you this. You're gonna learn how to make frames that perfectly thermally break your envelope so that you don't have this hollow section of HSS frosting and freezing and wicking moisture right into your wood 2x4 stud that you're probably gonna use. I don't recommend it. But this video here, you're gonna learn something. Stay tuned. One thing I couldn't talk the customer out of is a little bit of welding up on the roof. They're putting thousands of pounds up on the roof, and they've made us weld some HSS right to the top 60mm tubing. So if you look inside of here, you can see that that has burned right through and burnt the paint, and that is gonna cause premature rusting. So it's what I'm trying to get away from entirely when we're doing our container mods. So let's check out how our frames actually work. So these here, instead of what you would have seen on a previous mod where it was HSS all the way around, now we have our rain drip profile, our header and footer. These are typically the same part. It doesn't matter which way you would have installed that, it just depends on where your rain drip goes, and then your sides are also mirror images of each other. And with these, we like to fold a Z-type profile. So we'll hit outside corrugations every time. We make sure that a lot of our frames are corrugation dependent. That's one, I guess, potential drawback, because we tell our customers, you got basically 5.5 inches this way or 5.5 inches that way for that frame, but this way it's gonna be all sealed up, watertight, and the best part is we're gonna get all that spray foam up in behind there around the framing, and we're gonna get a perfect vapor barrier. This way we don't have a hollow section there where it's just cold air inside there, transferring cold to the inside. You'd have a wood 2x4 right up against that, and then guess what? Frost wicks into the wood and creates a huge, huge mold problem. I think I've talked about that enough, how bad that is for people's health. So you can see here there is 3 different frames on this side. We've got a couple on the end wall and one on the other side. So a whole bunch of electrical and mechanical passing through here. So let's jump inside this container and see how these frames look from the inside. So here it is. We'll give you a quick view of this. You can see here that we haven't burnt any paint inside of here, and we've used fasteners to secure the footer and also the header, the rain drip, and all down these sides. So there's nothing that is going to prematurely rust and corrode. Here it is, all finished up. This is how these framing kits work and look once they're all dialed in. And you can see that there's not a whole bunch of HSS exposed on the interior of this. Our reline wall panel came right up to this galvanized frame, and that foam comes right up to the inside of here. That is about as insulated as this can possibly be. We understand that not everyone knows how to use 3D modeling software. You don't have a super expensive laser and brake to be fabricating all these elaborate frames for shipping containers, especially if you're just looking to do something once and just get it done. So there is other ways to make frames. Here is a frame, a window framing kit that we've done back in the day before we did all of our 3D modeling and our engineering. And it's just utilizing angle iron and flat bar. So here we have a 2 by 2.5 inch angle iron. You're gonna wanna weld this angle iron frame on a workbench, nice and flat and very square. You'll want that super square so that when you go to put your square window in it, everything fits in there nicely and you don't have a parallelogram. Once you have your frame welded together in the corners, you can miter the cuts, but what we suggest is to actually notch the cuts, because then your MIG weld that you need to grind is not right in the corner where you can't get a zip in there, and then you'd have to use a die grinder or something. So once you get that all measured up, the outside dimension of this frame is what you're gonna cut as a rough opening through your shipping container. And then you can either stitch weld or seal weld it if you're not using spray foam on the inside. But if you're going to seam weld everything, you got to be very careful on how you distribute your heat, because you will warp the crap out of this, and then your window is going to be torqued, and then your slider for your vinyl window is not going to work. So that's very important. If you stitch weld it and you spray foam, it's going to be sealed up. Paint everything and then apply your sealant. Don't put your silicone on there and then try painting silicone. It does not work. So once you get this installed, the frame's installed, but your window is not, because you do not want your window installed like how we do it and then put everything together in one, because you're adding heat and you're gonna melt the vinyl. So once the frame's installed, Now you can install your window. Your 1-inch nailing fin of your vinyl window is going to get sandwiched with the flat bars. Here in this instance, we just used self-tapping screws and we squeezed everything in. From the inside now, we're able to actually see the vinyl window, and the spray foam can still come right up to the vinyl and give you that vapor barrier that you're looking for. This here is for a DIYer, but you pretty much have to be a journeyman tradesman to do this. I don't even build these myself. I have to have my journeyman welders build these for me. But the Container Modification World DIY kit, where there's no welding, it's just a few rivets, cut a hole with an angle grinder and pop it in, that is the true DIYer for your everyday person that's got, you know, your general set of tools, but you're not driving around with a mobile welding rig or nothing. So this works. This is a good way. This is the way a lot of businesses do it, because we do have welders on staff, we have painters, and we have the ability to order 20-foot lengths of angle iron. But if you're just looking to do one and you don't want to have to figure everything out on your own, Container Modification World kits are slick.